what's up again? It's your King Knife. It's about time EX Turk YouTube, and we're here with another Final Fantasy 15 subject because, well, you know, as a duty, as a fan, I need to talk about the different things that people don't see in the Final Fantasy 15. So, we're going to be talking about the Star Scourge, and that there's levels of the Star Scourge. Because what I believe is Final Fantasy 15 tells you things not in a direct way where you can understand it. Now, here's my question is, how come anyone who's affected with the Star Scourge turns into straight up demons? Like Iron Giants, Bombs, you know, those samurai guys, all sorts of different demons. The goblins, the imps. Regular people turn into that because of the Scourge. But how come the Niflheim Empire could still retain their human forms? And Magitech does not really count because Magitech is still non-human. Because some of the Scourge people get turned into Magitech as to save their lives, but their purpose is to die by the Lucians, technically. But anyways, how come is it possible that the higher-ups of the Niflheim Empire, such as Verstel, Ravus, Idolus, and Ardyn, can retain their human forms? And I'm about to break it down right here in this video. I'm about to break it down right here in this video of how they could possibly turn the tides to the Star Scourge. For number one, we're going to start with they're contracted with the Star Scourge. Now, Ardyn, we already know is contracted with the Star Scourge. Ardyn made a pact with Ifrit. You know, they're both partners in crime. As you could see in chapter 14, Ardyn states that Ifrit don't share the Glacians' love for mankind, but you could expect a warm welcome, meaning that he knows Ifrit's intentions and plans. So they've been contracted even before Ardyn has joined the Niflheim Empire. Now, I think when Idolus figured out things and figured out that Ardyn had the power of the Scourge, because Ardyn joined the Niflheim Empire, saying he has secrets that he would love to hear. Because remember, Idolus is power hungry. He's power hungry. He will do anything, even to his own people, if necessary. He will do anything, even to his own people, to gain power. That's what Idolus's existence is. So, he made a contract or pact with Ardyn, and then to follow only the only people to make pacts of the Niflheim Empire with Ardyn and Ifrit would have to be Idolus, Verstel, and later on Ravus. But then again, Ravus was a constructed demon. He was actually constructed because he didn't turn to his demon form until way later in the game. You know, and that's because when Ardyn killed him in his human form, he pretty much took the body and did what Verstel would have done. Used the same formula Verstel made for himself. It turned Ravus into that. That's how come Verstel and Ravus has the same kind of form when they're, you know, kind of form. And I'm not talking about when Verstel turns himself into Immortalis. I'm talking about when you see Verstel in the room with Prompto, and then Verstel's like, "Welcome to Niflheim, my son." Sorry, that was a terrible Verstel impression, but you know, pretty much, you know, if you look at the purple things around Verstel's face, when you beat Ravus down to a pulp, the black stuff turns into purple, meaning that Ardyn used the same formula of Scourge power for Ravus, but kind of made it stronger a little bit. You know, at first I thought Verstel was the perfected version, but he was not. Even Verstel couldn't have figured it out. That's why he wasn't strong enough in his human form. The fact when he got shot by Prompto, that was an easy battle. But then again, Verstel's power comes from transferring his consciousness. So if he got into a stronger body, a Magitech body to be quite honest, because it only works with Magitech, you know, then, you know, he would have been stronger. But that's a different thing in a different time. But, you know, Ravus was built as an MT that had the same kind of powers as a Star Scourge Star Scourge contracted human beings, such as Verstale and such as Idolus. Pretty much Ravus had even stronger powers being rebuilt as a demon than Idolus and Verstale could have ever had. You know, I'd say the true contracts of the Star Scourge would be Ardyn, Idolus, and Verstale. You know, Ravus knows about some of the stuff because Ravus is the High Commander. He's the general of the Niflheim Empire. So, of course, he's going to be known classified information. Plus, Idolus pretty much looked at Ravus as a son. So, he pretty much raised Ravus after his mom died. You know, pretty much. That's another reason why Ravus joined the Niflheim Empire as well. Because Idolus pretty much took Ravus in. So, he would know the secrets of the Star Scourge, but you know, I'm pretty sure they'd keep it a secret from him because, well, Idolus doesn't want anyone more powerful than he is. So he would never have Ravus go through the stuff because Ravus was already too powerful. He became a high commander at the age, I don't know, in his early 20s. You know? Now, it's not like how Sephiroth became the first class soldier, but that's still pretty young. So he was already climbing up with power, and I'm pretty sure Idolus and Verstale would have been, you know, afraid of Ravus if Ravus would have gained that power. So Ardyn pretty much rebuilt a dead Ravus, pretty much, just to be like Verstale, but the perfected version of what Verstale was before he transferred his consciousness to Immortalis. Now, I don't know if you're following this, but the only reason why Verstale, Idolus, and Ardyn do not turn to full-fledged demons, and even if they turn to full-fledged demons, they're still in control, it's because they're contracted by the Star Scourge. They made a pact with it. A pact with the disease. Pretty much they're at the highest level. I don't know if anyone watches the anime called Bleach, but think of it like with a Ronkar, or, you know, with Hollows. There's a Ronkar, Espada, Ahuchas, and Vastalordis. The Niflheim Empire are pretty much the Vastalordis class of Star Scourge beings. Pretty much Idolus, Verstale, and Ardyn are the strongest Star Scourge monsters ever. They can even retain their human qualities even in transformed state. Not even Ravus could have done that. And Ravus was built to be stronger than Idolus, according to Ardyn's calculations, but Ravus was only able to say 2 words. Then you know, and that was it. But Idolus and Verstale, especially Idolus, because Idolus turned full-fledged demon. He turned it to a full-fledged red demon, and was able to talk like a human being, like if it was him as a human talking to you guys. He was able to have control of that power. You know, that purple stuff that comes out of his mouth, it's the same blast he used on Ravus. So, what that means is that there are classes of, you know, Star Scourge beings, such as the regular low-class demons. Such as the lower-class demons gets all the way, the highest class of regular demons would be the giants, would be the Iron Giants. And then after the Iron Giants, which I'd have to say those would get, Iron Giants would be Ronkars. Then you'd have your, what you compare to a Spada class, and that would be the Magitech soldiers and Magitech machinery. And then you have the highest class that are like Bleach's Vastalordis. You have the highest Star Scourge clan, Star Scourge members, Verstale, Idolus, and Ardyn, the strongest of the Niflheim Empire. And then soon Ravus, but Ravus does not keep control. And it's not because Ravus is stronger than them, it's because Ardyn made a misstep or probably purposely took out Ravus's personality due to the fact that Ravus was opposing Ardyn. I mean, he opposed Idolus, which indirectly that does oppose Ardyn. That's why Ardyn went and finished him off, because Ardyn figured out he was obstinate. So maybe it's purposeful that Ardyn took out Ravus's personality and made it so he can't control his demon power. Only Ardyn could. That's why Ravus was saying kill me, because he couldn't have no control over it. You know, but if Ravus would have had this power a lot earlier, he probably would have fought Ardyn off. He probably would have fought Ardyn and end up doing open betrayal against the Nephilim Empire, because at this time Ravus denounced the Nephilim Empire because of his sister's death. So, you know, he would have been a threat if he would have kept this person out. Instead of going after Noctis, he probably team up with Noctis to go after Ardyn, you know. But this is not a Ravus video. I'm just saying that that's why, yes, Ravus has the same kind of powers as Verstale and Idolus does. Actually, even stronger. But Ardyn purposely disabled the personality Ravus had, because it'd be too much of a threat to have Ravus and Noctis, two kings of their own kingdoms, go up against just the one Ardyn, even though Ardyn's immortal, because he's the direct version, pretty much the embodiment version of the Star Scourge. The Star Scourge will never end until Ardyn has been defeated, and there's only one way to destroy Ardyn, and that's to destroy the thing he's connected to, the Ring of Lucii. But nonetheless, I'd have to say, you know, yes, they're pretty much the highest class. And I guess Ravus would be in that class too. He just don't know how to control himself. But so it would actually be Idolus, Verstale, Ravus, and Ardyn. Maybe not in direct order. And it could be possible General Glocka was one of this too. Because when General Glocka was in armor, he wasn't Titus Drontis anymore. Like I said in my Titus Drontis is really not General Glocka. It's actually partly true, because when General Glocka is in the armor, he's pure evil. He's just as evil as Ardyn at that point. He's not the man who wants to save immigrants. He's a monster. Because sure, the Star Scourge gives you a whole bunch of power, but the Star Scourge is demonic power. It is evil power. Having that kind of power inside you makes you a demonic being, because, well, the source of that disease comes from demons, you know, the ones that Ardyn has descended down with when he became contracted with Ifrit, you know. And Ardyn, the reason why he doesn't change his human form at all, and the reason why Ardyn does not have a final form, is because he's already in his final form. I know it sounds crazy, but when you see Ardyn's face with the yellow eyes, black lines running down his face, he's the embodiment of the Star Scourge. He's the king of all demons in the Final Fantasy 15 lore. So Ardyn's already in his last form. I know it sounds crazy, and that's why his attacks are red, his royal arms are red. Because it's the corrupted version of it. It's the power of the Lucius Kings, but a much evil, demonic version. Because Ardyn was actually already in his final form all this time. Because he is the Star Scourge. And that's why you see the yellow eyes. And you go to the Piteous Ruins, you see the same lines that are on Ardyn's face on the wall. Because Ardyn is the Star Scourge. That's why he doesn't need to transform, because he's already transformed. So tell me what you think about this, and may the crystal be with you guys. I just had to make this video. It's my responsibility.